Welcome back, and today what we're going to be doing is something that I didn't think about until I actually started looking more into it, and it is Should You Summon. This banner is actually really good. It may not seem all that good because Zillitu's been around since the beginning of the game. Ball, Lightlock, Avalon, all these guys have been too. But if you're lacking Maul or you don't have him A5, this is one of the best times to pull to get him A5. And he is a very versatile damage dealer. I've made guides with using him as the main damage dealer in Gear Raid 2. He works in Gear Raid 1 as well because he's AoE, and he works in Gear Raid 3. I'd say, is one of the most versatile epics in the game. Zillitu, she's a guild boss monster. She puts out tons of damage for a lot of people. If they have Pyros or Twin Fiend, she's the top damage dealer for their team. So she's really good too. Artemis, he's one of, if not the best anti-healer in the game. He's also a very competent healer on his own, and he does damage too. This is actually a really good banner. A lot of people are overlooking it because, one, a lot of people have Zillitu, or two, nobody ever really wants to pull for a healer. But Artemis, he's a really good healer for one, but two, he can do solid damage to up to 8 enemies in range. That is only during his ult, and that's also when he puts the anti-healing up. So, I mean, that's good. It's a 3-second anti-heal. His ult lasts for up to 20 seconds. So, that's generally 17 to 18 seconds of consistent anti-heal that you're putting on 10 or 8 units or 8 targets, and that's a solid amount. I am not going to be pulling on this banner, not because they're not good, but because Zillitu, I already have A3, which is kind of where she peaks out, so to say. A4 is really good for the rage regen. It gets her ultimate faster, which is where she puts out the big damage. A5 is kind of lackluster for guild boss. Anywhere else, she could be pretty good with A5. Anywhere else you use her. And that's the other thing. Zillitu, whereas she shines in guild boss, the guild boss 1, and guild boss 2 somewhat, where she shines there, she does do solid damage outside of that as well. She's great in Void Rift. She's great in a lot of places. So, the reason that I'm not going to pull for her is I have her A3 already, and that adds 10 seconds to her ultimate, which is huge. That's a ton of time. 15% crit damage, and Soul Siphon, this is for one of her passives. This does nothing for you in Guild Boss, but she's really good at where she is, but I am not currently using her in my Guild Boss team. So there's that. Let's see. Artemis, I'd say his peak is probably A1. A2 wouldn't be bad. A3, I mean, that could be handy, but not real necessary. A4 could be handy, but not necessary. And A3, A5. Yeah, I mean, his A1 makes him so much easier to build. Because of the fact that he does damage when he does his ultimate, and that's the only time he does damage, it makes it so that he can be built with 50% crit rate. Like, I don't have mine built super great. He's overcapped in crit rate, because when he ults, that goes up by 50%, so he's at 122%. Plus, he also gets collection bonus, I think. Yeah, plus another 3. So he's at like 135, 25% crit rate when he ults, and that's not necessary, but high attack speed is really good on him. High attack, because that's how he does his damage, and then rage regen to get his his ultimate to come back around. He's a really good unit. I have seen people use him as the main damage dealer in Gear Raid 1. I haven't done it, and I imagine it requires really solid gear, but it is possible to do, to solo damage deal with a healer. And then, like I said, Maul is amazing. Let's see, let's go back into here. Let's just click on Maul here. He does solid damage, and his A5 makes it so he costs 17. Yeah. As a AoE damage dealer, or range damage dealer, most of them cost 22. He could get out earlier than Nyx and Razak, and he can deal comparable damage to them. Like, for a while, Maul was compared to Razak at damage side. His A1, he now inflicts a freeze and knockback on enemies, plus 5% crit rate for A2, making him easier to build. His passive will inflict slow at A3, making him even more useful. A4 is penetration, more damage, and A5, he costs 5 less. He's a really good damage dealer, and can solo damage deal for Gear Raid 2 for you. So there's that. Lightlock, he's unfortunately on the banner. He's a fusible. I would not pull for him. I've never even built him personally. Back in the day, he was apparently broken, but that was before I played. He actually did some good damage. Let's see. And then Avalyn, if you still need Avalyn for the Micah fusion, this is a really good chance to try and pull her. These 2 times, sure, if you're a newer account, go for them. If you're starting to fill out your legendaries, I wouldn't. We got the, what do you call it? The ancient crystals back in the Brave Conquest. Cool stuff. Corridor Glory, level up people. But whereas I'm in a position that I could definitely summon, I'm not going to. I don't really need to. And if you are in a similar position to me, I would recommend you save. There's not really any reason to pull if you already are hitting 50k on Guild Boss, if you are already happy with where your Zilla 2 is, if you already have an A1 Artemis, there's no need. If you need either one of them, or if you're missing either one of them, that brings it to a different story. It makes it a little bit more difficult to decide. We don't know what banners are coming up here soon. I think there have been leaks of a Hatsuit banner coming up. And Hatsuit is really good. I've honestly been using her less and less lately, but that doesn't take away from how good she is. She is one of the most powerful burst units in the game. She does a ton of damage, and I have her A1, which makes it so that she does even more damage. She also does decreased defense, I believe. Yeah, she puts a defense reduction on each enemy hit also suffers defense reduction. So there's that. She's a really, really good unit. She was looked at one point as one of the best. She hasn't gotten as much use as of recent, except for in Gear Dungeon 2, I believe, which I am lacking on doing. But let's see. Yeah, Hatsuit. Hatsuit is one of the most recommended units, and she's in most teams. Here's one without her. So 2 without her. Yeah, there's only 2 without her in the recommended lineups. So, I mean, that should tell you right there. She's amazing for this. But apart from that, she could solo damage deal Gear Raid 2, the same as Maul. But that's not who we're talking about this week. She could be next week. She could be a month from now. I don't know. That other people might know, or might have theories on, but I don't know. All I know is this banner, if you need Zillitu, or if you have Twin Fiend or Pyros and you're missing a solid Infernal damage dealer, Zillitu is solid enough to pull on. If you need an anti-heal for Gear Raid 1, or Gear Dungeon 1, or anything else, who actually can put out some competent damage himself, Artemis is solid to pull for. Maul is just all around good. If you don't have him, he's great to pull on, and hope you get him awakened. So it depends on where your account is. If you have these units, other than Artemis, I wouldn't necessarily pull. Maul, if you need his awakenings, it's not a bad time to, but also Epic Soulstones kind of come by dime a dozen as you get later on in the game. I'm sitting at, let's see, is there gonna be an epic I can find on, here's one.
Strike quickly, don't hesitate.
Like, I'm sitting on 25 right now, and I have not had a reason to use any, but if I need to, I could. They drop pretty commonly from Guild Boss, and you get them from other places too. I can't think of where at the moment, but either way, Maul, he's worth summoning for, but he's not worth breaking your bank over. This banner is good, but if you already have the units on it, I wouldn't recommend pulling. Artemis is an exception there. Artemis's A1 is really good and makes it a lot easier to build them. But apart from that, if you're missing them, definitely you cannot be upset about pulling for them. But like I said, we don't know what's coming next. Next, it could be a new unit. It could be an amazing unit that we've just overlooked, and that's how these games are. They're gacha games. You got to choose when to pull, choose when to save, and all that. This game is a lot more resourceful with getting materials, but it's the same as any other. You're still gonna have to buy things to keep up with every weekend. So I'm gonna be skipping this weekend. I don't really need to pull. It's up to your account on if you do need to, and if you are gonna pull, definitely let me know in the comments below why and what you're pulling for, what you're hoping for. I'd like to know. If you're not pulling, who are you hoping for in the future? Who you're saving for? Is there anything in particular you're kind of holding out hope for? But that pretty much does it for this video. If you liked it, I guess like it. If you want to see more, or you want to get more of my takes on things and see what I have coming up here in the future, definitely subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next one.